Chapter 9, Step on the accelerator to the end, and the rest will follow. With a sore face, the Cross soaked Russell in the slightly turbid pool and said stiffly, "I'll be here tonight, we'll continue tomorrow, you can rest well first." The Cross left without looking back, and every time he thought of Russell's neatly shot position, his head hurt. "I thought that with a little training, Russell would be able to quickly become a teacher, but now it seems that he is too idealistic." If you rate Russell's performance just now, the choice of the Cross is D, double D, no more. The good news is that he didn't aim at the head when he shot, otherwise it would be difficult to find a good assistant. Russell also had a sore face. It was a lie to be alive after being shot on TV. He was just shot in the thigh and basically lost his ability to fight. Those who were shot in the arms and continued to fight back with guns, or those who were shot more than a dozen times and still had not fallen down, I really don't know what physiological structure they are. Russell expected that the Cross would fire suddenly, but he did not expect to fire 2 shots in a row. It can be seen that with his current strength, it is very difficult to deal with top killers without equipping cards. Soaked in the pool, Russell felt that the wound on his thigh was a little itchy, and there were several injuries from frustration during the day, like ants crawling on the wound, which was very uncomfortable. This is a normal response to wound recovery, because the speed is too fast to cause discomfort. The turbid liquid in the pool is not simple. In this world of Assassin League, apart from bullet time and looms, the most mysterious thing is the medicine he is soaking in right now. Bath. Drugs and water can stimulate white blood cells through skin contact, speed up the recovery process, bruises, cuts, fractures, and recover in a few hours, much stronger than Russell's unreliable system. In the headquarters of the Brotherhood, Textile Factory No. 17, there is a place called the Recovery Room, which also has this kind of potion that can quickly repair damage. The leader of the Brotherhood, Morgan Freeman, is not right. The leader Sloan is the biggest gauze in the textile mill. He sits on the treasure mountain and does not know it. There are many ways to make money, why must he choose to kill? He can apply for a patent with the formula, and then open a factory to mass-produce diluted versions of the healing elixir. With this magical medicine in hand, dominating the medical world is simply a piece of cake, and it is not a dream at all to be rich and rival the country. If Sloan goes to a certain point, there is no doubt that he will hit the street properly. Russell closed his eyes and immersed his body in the water. The next day, Russell's biological clock automatically woke him up. He broke away the completely solidified potion on the surface, got up from the pool, and changed his clothes, but he didn't see the Cross. Russell practiced shooting in the shooting range of the factory building. Because of the improvement of his intelligence and the residual firearm memory of the subway police, he shot the humanoid target with 100 hits, and after firing 5 magazines in a row, he gave up the unchallenging practice. Without him, it swells. Russell waited for a while, and when he saw that the Cross had not come yet, he decided to go out for food when he was hungry. The effect of the medicated bath is very effective. His injuries have all recovered, and it is impossible to see that he was injured by a gunshot last night. On the contrary, he is very hungry now. It is still the grandfather of KFC, not because of poverty and no choice, but because junk food is high in calories and can supplement the energy consumed. After filling his stomach, Russell returned to the factory building, but there was still no ghost of the Cross. He guessed that the other party might be spying on the cuckold son's girlfriend's daily life, so that he couldn't type with both hands, or he was hunting down a target. Russell picked up the pistol and did another boring hour of practice before he gave up the rigid, low-level training that did nothing to improve him except to kill time. There are not many pistols on the rack, and this is not his home. Russell can see that the Cross has no intention of frankly publicizing it. But it doesn't matter, Russell has read the original book and knows his biggest weakness, his son Wesley. If Destiny Child really exists, then in the world of Assassin League, Wesley is Destiny Child. People live a lifetime, some people become legends, and some people are downright lukewarm. To get to the bottom of the reason, do you think it's your own incompetence? No, your abilities are enough, but your genes are not. All roads lead to Rome, but some people were born in Rome and are still princes of Rome. The world of the Assassin League is a world of blood. Without blood of adrenaline, you cannot become a top killer. It took Wesley just 2 weeks to surpass the efforts of many geniuses for 20 years, who's to argue with that? But Russell didn't panic at all, he hung up. Speaking of Wesley, Russell felt the need to get in touch with him. This kid is super god in the later stage, except for the cross. Although doing so is likely to offend the cross, he can't blame him for this. It was just a coincidence. How would he know that Wesley was the son of the cross? Before he still has use value, Russell decided to wave first. Russell put on his baseball cap and walked out of the factory gate, followed the light rail route and searched for the clues in his memory. Wesley's rental house is near the light rail, but Russell found that the neighborhood is full of old-fashioned rental houses with 3 or 5 floors. There is an ATM machine next to Wesley's house, but Russell has found more than 30 ATM machines. Wesley Russell, who often buys anti-anxiety medication at the supermarket near his home, found 5 supermarkets along the light rail track, each of which sold the drug. Russell. Well, as long as I'm familiar with the terrain, at least when I'm being hunted down, I won't get into a dead end. Looking at the moon rising after sunset, Russell gave up his plan to find Wesley. There were too few clues, and there was a good chance that Wesley was in front of him and he wouldn't recognize it. Because no one dictates that in the world he lives in, Wesley looks exactly the same as in the movie. As for asking passers-by about Wesley's address, Russell didn't use this method. What he needed was a chance encounter. Holding the family bucket in his arms, Russell was wandering under the street lights on the street, when the mobile phone in his pocket suddenly rang. Shit, where did you go? Russell moved the phone slightly away. The roar of the cross was so loud that his earwax was about to burst out. I've been waiting for you in the factory for a long time, and I came out to find some food. The current location is. Russell looked around, a supermarket called the Egg Store, next to an ATM machine embedded in the wall. Okay, you're still alive. Now, no matter where you are, hurry back to the factory and stay in the factory. The killer of the Brotherhood is nearby, so be careful yourself. Cross hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Russell listened to the blind tone on the phone and looked at the supermarket not far ahead. His heart began to beat faster, and his perception told him that it would be very dangerous here. You're right, I'll go back now. Some things and some people can be avoided if they want to avoid them. Just when Russell turned around and walked a few steps, a gunshot suddenly sounded in the supermarket. After an explosion, the young man wearing a dark blue jacket hurriedly ran out. Russell leaned against the wall, his eyes locked on the young man with hanging silk. Although there was a slight change in his face and his memory, his intuition told him that the young man in front of him was Wesley. Scoff. The harsh tire friction sounded in Russell's ears, and Cross drove a pet-carrying van out of the alley and slammed on the brakes to stop next to Russell. Fcuck, what are you doing here? The Cross was dumbfounded, which was too coincidental. Russell shrugged and didn't speak. He picked up the chicken drumsticks in the family bucket and took a bite. The meaning was obvious. Of course I am here to eat, otherwise what else can I do? On the other side, Wesley ran into the parking lot in a panic and was taken away by a cool-looking red supercar. Dodge Viper SRT-10. The tradition of American sports cars is to carry out large displacement to the end. This SRT-10 is an uncompromising representative of American displacement. The 600 horsepower 8.4-liter engine has larger displacement, greater power, and greater torque, like an aggressive Viper. Russell nodded again and again. This car is great, what do you think? Cross rolled his eyes and dragged Russell into the car. You come and drive, don't get lost. How are your driving skills? The driving skills are average, step on the accelerator to the end, and the rest is optional. What? Tie the seatbelt, pay attention to obey the traffic laws, we are going on the road. Russell fastened the seatbelt, his eyes instantly became extremely sharp, and he stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. The host is equipped with character card, baby, the countdown is 400 seconds, and the timer starts. The Cross swallowed and fastened his seatbelt subconsciously. He felt a palpitating power from Russell. That is the momentum that only a person who has reached the peak in a certain field has. This is an old driver. Street diary. There are two types of riders, Dashin and Pujie. Some people are responsible for Dashin, and the other part is specially responsible for Pujie.